Well, our special guest today on Absolutely Famous is former world triathlon champion and Olympic Games silver medalist in the triathlon, Loretta Harrop. Loretta had a fantastic career in this grueling sport. She won 12 ITU events, finished runner-up in another 7, and in 1999 she was the overall world champion. Loretta, congratulations on a wonderful career.
Thank you. I haven't heard those results for a while, so it's nice to hear it again.
Yeah. Oh, look, I was just fascinated. I've read a lot about what you've achieved, and I mean, it's one of the toughest sports, isn't it? You've got, what have you got, a 1,500 metre swim, 40k bike and a 10k run. That's challenging.
Yeah, and I think that's the part I loved the best, was that it was probably the hardest sport of my era, and the toughest, and that worked in my favour. Didn't have all the talent in the world, but when it came to being hard and racing hard, that was definitely my weapon.
Yeah, so you're obviously doing pretty well in swimming before you went to triathlons. What prompted the change?
Yeah, I won medals at age nationals right through my childhood, and I went to Commonwealth Games trials at about 16, 17, and made a final, but obviously missed out. And then my mum got sick. She was diagnosed with a brain tumour when I started year 12, and I took some time out, not completely, I still swam a bit, but my family and I nursed her for about 1.5 years. So when she passed away, I just found that I couldn't really continue swimming because she was just always with me with my swimming, and I found it really hard. But I loved swimming so much that I tried to find a sport that still involved that sort of training, and triathlon. My younger brother Luke was involved in triathlon, so it definitely appealed to me.
Yeah, a big blow, obviously, losing your mum at an early age. Does that sort of act as a bit of extra motivation for you to?
Yeah, look, I've said before, I was just so happy she was my mum, and I had her for as long as I did, but she was super tough, and she taught me a lot. And I remember when I was nursing her, I made up my mind that, we knew that she wasn't going to make it. And when she passed away, I just said, right, I'm going to do with my life what I really want and what I'm really passionate about, and that was to be the best in the world at something. So I dabbled in martial arts, and swimming was there, but it was triathlon that I just loved the hard work, and I could see that whoever worked the hardest would get results. So I was just chipping away at that.
So your late brother Luke, was he the inspiration behind you getting it? Did he sort of rib you and say, come on, have a crack at this?
Yeah, I didn't know much about triathlon, but he was making schoolboys, Queensland teams, and he was having a great time. And he encouraged me to come training with him after Mum passed away, and I started swimming and running a little bit with him, and I'd never ridden a bike before, so that was something that he had to be very patient with me. And he bought me my first bike and showed me the ropes with it, and from there we just fell in love with it together, and we trained together and spent many hours. He taught me a lot actually about triathlon, and then we were travelling the world together, so it was fantastic having him by my side.
I guess you bounced off each other, and it's pretty cool being able to train with your sibling for elite sport.
Yeah, he was full of beans. He was a lot of fun. I was the serious one, and he was sort of the light-hearted one. I would always take training really seriously, and he wouldn't. So we were very opposite, but I think we worked well with each other.
Yeah, and of course it didn't take you long to get up to speed. I mean, were you surprised how quickly you went from ranked novice into the elite group?
Look, I think swimming as a solo sport, it makes you incredibly tough. And of course I had the benefit of already being a top swimmer. So I was obviously fit, and the swim leg is already taken care of. I'd lead out of the swim. So I just had to master the bike and the run, which wasn't easy. I was not a good runner, but look, I found the right people to help me, and the rise was quick, and got my teeth into it, and just loved every second of it.
So was there one race you can remember that sort of was a breakthrough race for you, that you thought, I can do this? Yeah,
I do remember. We'd been training really hard and everything was going well, and I still wasn't really breaking through with the races on the podium. I remember doing the Mooloolaba triathlon one year, and the late Jackie Gallagher was the #1 triathlete pretty much in the world at the time. And I led out the swim and got off the bike first. And I remember I ran out of the bike transition to try and beat her out of the transition so that I could lead out on the run. And she had a swipe at me as she ran past me. In about the first 3 minutes of the run, you know, who do you think you are?
Bad move by her.
But I knew that I was getting closer because, you know, I led out from the bike now, so I could swim and I could lead the bike. So I just had to, you know, get the run going, which was coming together. So I knew I wasn't far off after that race.
So you're a bit of a, like the athletics equivalent back in my day, Philbert by, you'd go out flat out from the start and just hold off whatever was coming. That was your, pretty much your plan?
That was it. I didn't like to think. I just used to like to put my head down, bum up and go. And I think, you know, with the tragedies too that I dealt with my mum and my brother, it also helped me that I didn't really want to think. I just wanted to hurt, and I was good at it. And yeah, it brought me a lot of confidence that I was going to be okay, even though some really horrible things had happened. And I think the sport really got me through some really tough times.
And of course, immediately when you race out of the blocks like that, you put the pressure on the whole field, so no one's going to be able to coast. Yeah,
I knew if I had about a 2.5 minute lead that someone would have to do a pretty good run to catch me. And I loved to lead from the front. I did a lot of training. Even though I was in a squad, I do a lot of training by myself because I knew that it was just me and, you know, whatever I was doing out the front of the pack. So I did train that way, but to race from the start to the finish flat out, I just loved it. And I trained like that to be able to race like that.
So how do you beat the pain barrier? I've talked to rowers and marathon runners, and probably similar to them. Do you get to a stage where you're just about a whiteout, but you can keep going through that?
Yeah, I think proving that to yourself in training is key. You know, one of my favourite sessions I love to do on the track was 2200s, 4400s, 2200s. And I sit here now and that blows my mind. Yeah, but I do that nearly every week, and that was my key session. But I think it was a key session for me mentally to know what I was capable of doing and that no one else was doing that session. So yeah, I think you prove a lot to yourself in training to be able to, you know, rock up on the start line and know that you've done everything. So you just got to race hard.
So those repeats you did, what sort of pace they? Full pace, or full racing pace?
Well, no, I remember I do like the 200s on. I think we did them on like 45 seconds. So you know, and then the 400s. I'd bring them in around a 117, 118, and we'd leave on like the 145. So they weren't blistering, but it was a consistently good pace.
Yep.
And when I raced a 10K run, I didn't have a blistering speed at all, as everybody probably saw at the finish of the Athens race, but I could hold a really good pace for the 10K.
1999 was a great year for you. You won the overall ITU world title. And Montreal, I think, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, how cool was that?
It was a great year. You know, I'd won a few of the ITU races as well. I won Queensland Sportsperson of the Year back here. I'd picked up some really good sponsors, won the World Championship. So, yeah, I was feeling on top of the world. It certainly was a very strong year leading into the Sydney 2000 Olympics.
And the Sydney Olympics, you finished 5th in that, which is absolutely no mean effort. I mean, anywhere near the front in those events. So did you enjoy that experience, the first Olympics?
Yeah, I was coming off an injury to do those Sydney Olympics, and we'd had a big legal battle to stay in the team. There was a challenge from Emma Carney to take my spot because I'd been injured, but I was selected in the team. So there was a lot of hullabaloo going on there. I think Sydney Olympics, I was really disappointed to finish 5th, but coming off a severe injury, I had a stress fracture in my tibia that was really quite bad. I was probably happy with 5th in saying that. So look, in 99 World Championships, the Aussie girls finished 1 to 5. So
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, we were pretty confident we'd come away with a couple of medals and the gold, but we didn't. So I guess we were probably pretty disappointed with that one.
Yeah, it's very much on the day, of course, isn't it?
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to throw you off.
No.
Did you have many of those days when you knew it wasn't going to be your day?
No, not many.
No.
No.
Didn't look like it either.
And you know what? That was just the athlete I was. I was there to win. Second place I was not interested in. And I won most of the races I went in. I had a few injuries over my time, but I trained extremely hard to be able to win the races I did, and I'd do it all over again.
So you're obviously, well, we'd call it in New Zealand, you're a hard-ass competitor, pretty much.
Yeah, look, I mean, I love to win. I remember the two Goodwill games that I won. I still rate them as probably, two of my greatest wins, and then winning the non-drafting race in the USA, the men versus women, and that was a big money race, and I think that was one of the best races I had as well.
Of course, sadly in 2002, huge tragedy for you and your family when Luke was hit by a stolen vehicle, hit and run driver. That must have knocked you emotionally massively.
Massive. It turned our world upside down. He was an incredible person, just a larger-than-life personality, and he had so much to give so many people. It's really hard to comprehend when something like that happens, when you lose. We lost Mum. There's something about losing your parents. It's probably supposed to happen, but not at such an early age. But to lose a younger sibling and like that was just heartbreaking for all of us. So it was a real time that we all had to dig ourselves out of a very big hole to try and keep going and moving forward.
So how many other siblings did you have?
I've got an older
sister.
Have you
got, I mean?
Rebecca.
Yeah. Rebecca.
So now there's just Rebecca and I. And we're obviously very, very close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it tough to sort of come out of that grief and go back to competing?
Yeah, I remember 3 weeks after Luke got killed, we had the Commonwealth Games trials. And I remember my husband, I was trying to do a training session, I think it was about 4 days after Luke got killed, because the world doesn't stand still. You expect it to, but it just doesn't. And I knew I had the trials, and the selection was clear. You win it and you're in. So I was trying to keep training through, just shock and grief, and dealing with all the other stuff, funeral and everything else that went with it. But I just remember knowing that I had no choice, and I'd cry through so many sessions of just bawling my eyes out, but I'd do the sessions. And come race day, it meant a lot to me. My dad was there and my sister was there, and it meant a huge amount to me to be able to show them that it was going to be okay. So without any much training very well at all for 3 weeks, I remember it came down to a sprint finish between Barb Lindquist from the USA was racing and myself. But you had to win the race to be selected, and I think it was the first and only sprint finish I ever won. And my dad was at the finish line, and it was very emotional. Yeah,
well, that fantastic performance, and of course that amazing triathlon event in Athens. I mean, the men's and the women's races were phenomenal.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I was following the Kiwi boys.
Yeah, of course you were.
Had a great battle, but I also was well aware of what happened in the women's race, and it got right down to the last couple of 100 metres. You led most of the way.
Yeah. I had a great race. It was a really tough course, and I had to do it by myself. I had to do the bike. I think Sheila Toromina from the USA hung on for a couple of laps on the bike, but she wasn't really helping me. So I thought the pace was a bit slow, so I decided to leave her and go by myself on a very hard bike course. But I thought I'd done it pretty well, and I felt okay for the run. I'd never lost a race with that sort of a lead before, and I felt fine. There was really nothing I can do. Kate came from nowhere, and I think she had a faster run split than the boys. And I think she got me by about 6 seconds or something. But the funny part was, I remember before the race, they decided to lengthen the finish line.
Oh, really?
By a few hundred meters.
Oh, no.
Because, for spectator and all that. And I thought,
shafted.
Oh, it's just the way it goes, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, nonetheless, you'd be hugely proud of her.
I was really proud. To be honest, I remember there was a Australian journo put the microphone in my face as soon as I finished the race, and he says, "Oh, Loretta, what happened?" And I said, "Nothing happened. I just won a silver medal." After missing a medal in Athens, it meant the world to me to get an Olympic medal, and it felt like a Purple Heart to me. With everything I'd been through, it wasn't really about the colour of the medal. It was what I'd sort of overcome to keep that goal of winning that Olympic medal, and finally achieving it meant a lot.
And I bet your tank was pretty much empty, wasn't it, when you crossed the finish line?
So, you can't. What do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, I gave everything. I had a really good race. I think I had a great race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Fantastic. God, most people just dream of going to the Olympics, let alone winning a medal. Yeah. So, when did you retire from competition? Did you compete much after the Athens Olympics?
No, I pretty much knew that was going to be my last hurrah. I hung in it a little bit for sponsors and that, but my husband and I got married just before 2004 Olympics. He was building our house back at home, so I knew I wanted to start the next chapter. And I raced for a couple of years, with sponsors and stuff like that. But I could feel, and I knew that my heart wasn't in it. And the type of athlete I was 100% committed. And I even felt that, 10-20% of not really being into it really affected me. So we decided to start a family, and in 2006 we had our first child, Hayden, and I raced for about a year just for a bit of fun, and then hung up the boots after that.
Good stuff, but you're still pretty active. You still look as though you're fit enough to do a triathlon right now.
You know what? Sport's been my life. Swimming has been who I am, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I don't think there's ever been more than 2 or 3 days in my life where I haven't swum 3 or 4K. So it's what I love. It's who I am, and I don't think I'll ever stop. I still run, whenever I can fit it in, and I still get to the pool.
Do you still sometimes just sit down and, feel a bit proud of yourself for what you've achieved?
I don't think about it that much. It's nice to talk to you and just remember a few events. You know what it's like when you have kids. It's all about the kids.
Yeah, it is. But, it's an amazing career. Absolutely amazing. And, of course, you've got a very talented sporting family. Your hubby, Brad Jones, was a top AFL player. Who did he play for?
1999, he won the Grogan Medal. We had a good year together because he was runner-up for the Grogan Medal about 4 or 5 years, and he hadn't cracked one. And then 99, I was overseas, and he was back here playing footy and working, and he won the Grogan Medal. So that was a big year for both of us.
Fantastic. Who did Brad play for? What was his main team?
He played for Malcolmbat and Redlands, were his last 2 teams. He won numerous best and fairest at both the clubs. He was a great footballer. I loved watching him. We'd been together for many years. I'd met Brad when I was 14, so I've watched many of his football matches, and he's watched me climb from nothing to winning Olympic medals. So we built something pretty special together, I think.
Pretty hell of a journey. So you're sort of childhood sweethearts in a way.
Yeah, that's right. Brad knew my mum, and he stood by me that whole year and a half when I was nursing my mum. And Brad's had his own tragedies. He lost his dad fairly young. So look, we've been through a lot, but we know that we wake up each day and there's something new to look forward to. So we focus on that. And the
kids are going really well. Hayden and your daughter Emerson, obviously doing very well. What are they? What's their main?
Yeah, we've just come back from India for 4 weeks, where they both represented Australia for tennis, Junior Davis Cup and Junior Fed Cup.
Fantastic.
Yeah, incredible. Really proud to watch both the kids wear green and gold. And tennis is what they love. We can't get them off the court. We've tried. But look, that's where their passion is, and they're both doing very well. They're very committed. Probably over the last year, they've really knuckled down and decided that that's the pathway they want to chase. So yeah, we're fully supporting them. We know better than anyone else that is a career pathway, that it's a great lifestyle, and somebody's got to make it, so why not?
So as far as competing goes, you don't go on any other events these days? Nothing?
No, I try and do Luke's race, when I'm here in Australia. I've missed the last 2 because I've been overseas with the kids. But yeah, we always try and get out and do a team event at Luke's race, but
Yeah.
no, I've left the competing behind.
So where is Luke's race held at? Is it the same
The
course?
Gold
or-
Coast, yeah. Still the Luke Harrop Triathlon every year.
Yeah.
So yeah, they move it a little bit between that Southport Parkland
Yeah.
and Robina, and it's around depending on
Yeah.
the year.
A couple of good courses there.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
people now in those triathlons are huge.
Yeah. Loretta, that's amazing. Thank you. You know, you should think, I'm sure you're very proud of what you've done. I mean, all of Australia would be. It's an amazing
Thank you.
career in one of the toughest sports. I know. Good on you. Well
Thanks.
done. Thanks for the interview.
No
Enjoyed
problem.
it.